And then it gave me this. Then it gave me this gem. Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video, let's do a showcase of UDIO.com's extension feature. And I'm going to show you how I made a 15-minute Prog-Metal masterpiece that's both cohesive and a fever dream. Okay, first I just want to head over here to UDIO and show you what it looks like currently. And this is kind of changing every week. But let's say I go to generate a clip, and I'm going to use the 32-second clip. And then I have something I like over here. You see I have two of them stitched together. And I can either just go there, which isn't always there. And then, or I could go here, extend, and then it sends it to the form. And then I can specify intro, add section before, section after, add outro. And then I can just keep stacking this until I hit the limit of 15 minutes. But I did want to come over here and just show you how things have changed. So if you're wondering, where are my liked songs and where are my trees? Well, you have to come over here and hit the search button, and then, okay, we have these sub tabs. So here it is, and let's go ahead and expand it. And what happened to my tree? There are thousands of iterations within this tree. So in any case, what you'll see coming up is a video that I shot in September. And I'm glad I did, because not only was the tree intact and I was able to show you exactly how I made this track, and also the stoke levels were high because I had just made the track. I was super excited about it still, and you'll get to see my fresh reaction and commentary to it. Just a quick ethical disclaimer and personal background. So first of all, I understand the hate for AI music. A lot of people out there that aren't musicians are just clicking a button once, generating a full song, posing as a real artist, not being upfront that it's made with AI, posting it on Spotify when it's already oversaturated. And because I'm actually a real musician that has played and released music and studied music for decades, I totally get that. So it was my goal to use these platforms to see how far I could push the AI music models so that I know what is relevant for a composer moving forward in light of that. What ended up happening was, in the process of doing this, I was continually surprised, delighted, mind blown by the results. I had so much fun with it, I kept going until I had a full-length album, and now I'm almost done with the second full-length album. The first one is released, and by the way, the song we're talking about in this video is called Exovault Descent. You can find the link for it there. All right, now let's get into it. The prompt wasn't really the secret sauce here. It was really simple. I kind of asked for the genre, and I specified that I wanted shredding guitars and complex rhythms. And that's pretty much it. I had a few options. Maybe I generated 4 clips, and I got really lucky and generated this one. So let's take a listen to my original 30-second clip that started it all, because eventually this became a full-length album. And yeah, anyway. We're going to talk about the full-length album in the next video. Brain melting, right? Like this one just blew me away, because you can hear it starts with like the end of a solo. And that's what's so cool about UDIO and these extensions. Like you can just be in the middle of a note and extend it, and it'll continue it perfectly and make these interpolations. It's mind-blowing. But in any case, this part sounds very Dream Theater, like odd eights, kind of, eighth note feel, and then we have one of these, like, it sounds a lot like Periphery or maybe Anupsastri or something, where it's a 4/4 feel, kind of like the Meshuggah thing, right? It's a 4/4 feel with polymeter riffs going over it. And man, it's just just blew my mind. So, okay, so then I have my 30 seconds, and what I do is I extend it. And because we're not starting at the beginning, I start by extending, before it. And from there, I had two options. Because they always give you two options. No, so nothing wrong with that, but it wasn't very exciting. I had two options, and the other one was just more... Yeah, this one. So this one came out... Here. I'm not sure who that's imitating, because that was like sounded all new to me. And sometimes, the AI brain really is just pulling likeness from here and there, but actually thinking like a human and creating its own organization of notes. That twin, kind of sounds like maybe Polyphia, but I don't listen to them too much. Yeah, so I kept this one because it was just mind-blowing, and it really, listen. That's where the other one started. Okay, so then from there, oh boy. So you see, this one is the next in line, but if I come down, this is going to be really hard. There's more. Now, again, I'm going to talk about how I made an entire full-length album out of this in another video, but basically, sometimes there was a good option that I didn't keep, and I clipped the new part only and then started generating from there to make new songs. Again, more on that later. Let's come back to where we're at. Okay. Then I made one more section before it. I think at that point I said just make an intro, so that would make a beginning of a song, and it grabbed that really cool gent riff that was at the end of the other one. So sometimes it'll do that. It'll grab this part and make a variation of it so that there's some sort of like what composers do. Because you can create really complex sounding stuff that has more limited source material, right? So at least there's some thematic things going on here, like the part comes back, right? Like when humans write music. So I liked that beginning, and then you see we get into this one. Kind of sounds like almost like a not power metal, but like a metalcore band, briefly, and then that cool neoclassical thing. Okay, so from there I had lots of options that they're going to be all the way down here. If I just collapse this really quick. So you see I had like a bunch of options, and then this one is a different path that'll lead to another song. Okay, so, we're now extending after. Some of the ones I didn't keep. They just weren't that exciting, I guess. And then the one I did keep, I hope this doesn't crash my browser, because I'm really pushing UDIO to the limit here. Okay, so I didn't keep this very end, but I did keep this. We have this is definitely Meshuggah right here. Straight up backbeat and snare. Now you hear how that's supposed to go down, right on the beat, and I tried to get it to extend to something cool, but the extension I kept, it did something really wild. And sometimes if it just does something so unique and like surprising, I'm tempted to keep it. Like what? All of a sudden we got some like sharp 11 flavor chords and like, yeah. So what happens here? It's supposed to be duh, right? 40 and 1. But instead, on the beat, it uses the speed of a triplet to be the 16th note in a new tempo. It's called a metric modulation. Like, the AI brain here is blowing my brain out of my skull. Okay, so I was close. It pretty much is a metric modulation, one where eighth note in the old tempo becomes triplet eighth in the new tempo. And to calculate that, I had to do some algebra, and we're coming from 182, it becomes 121.3 repeating. But the easier way to interpret it would just be that we flip from simple time to compound time. But in any case, we can hear this in action. It's actually a little more mind-blowing than I thought, because when we land on that beat, those notes that go at a weird speed are actually 4 where there would be 3 in the new compound time. So it does do something really ridiculous there and very clever. And by the way, since those eighth notes interchange so easily, when they drop back to 182 later seamlessly. So yeah, let's hear that again. And then it's so weird. Even some of it sounds like synthesized, but I just thought it was so interesting I couldn't not keep it. And then it gave me this. Then it gave me this gem. Yeah. And I kind of want to demo the options that I skipped, just to kind of show you how my decision-making process went, but with the interface, it's going to get a little complicated. Oh man, it just did something there with, like, I don't know, the AI, it happens with photos too. Like, I'm generating these photos in Flux that look they look like Ultra HD, and they look hyper realistic, but they're like 720. You know what I mean? It's like the AI knows how to trick our brain into like thinking we're looking at fine resolution. And these like what I call hammers, I like to call these hammers when I use these in my own music, where it's just like, it's got this like sound like it's breaking up, you know, like it's just so perfectly loud that it's like ripping the speakers, but in a good way. And oh man, I loved that so much. All right, so that's what I kept. And then let's check our next extension here. This is cool because 4 minutes into the song, the listener can use a little break, a little like, you know, more clean tone, like things calm down a bit. You know, I really subjected the listener to just like so much data, like maybe even the average person just can't even make it through those 4 minutes. I don't know. Like I said, I have a huge background in playing complex music, like whether it be like classical music, modern classical, or progressive rock, progressive metal. I've spent decades doing it. So I love when things are super complicated and throw my brain for a loop. To my own detriment. Okay. So we got this weird sounding little fusion part. It's got some really outside of the box type like harmonies. And really quick, let's just take a look at what some of my other options were here. Yeah. Okay, Opeth just entered the chat. So I originally picked this one and then tried to start expanding it, and it just wasn't leading me in a good direction. I have these 4 options, and I was like, you know, maybe I won't keep that Opeth riff, or rather I can always come back to it, clip it, and make a different song from it. But generating a whole song from that, it's going to sound pretty different from the rest of the album, and I want there to be, even though there's a ton of variety, I want there to be some consistency. I might go back and try that. I'm at a point where any new generations like that might be for a whole second album anyway. You gotta you gotta cut it at some point. Okay, let's see what the next one is. Oh, yeah, yeah. So all of a sudden, we have this part that sounds a lot like Pliny. And once again, I thought the listener could really use something smooth and not so chaotic. Just a little break from all the chaos of the first 4 minutes. We have this really beautiful, like, you know, prog metal fusion guitar solo. Okay, and I thought that worked pretty well. All right, the next step. Okay, so my other options. A lot of times it's something that, well, yeah, that's really cool actually, but it doesn't work in my the larger scale plan here. Like, whatever, that works for what it is. It's not that impressive. I didn't like those hi-hats. Yeah. So another one that's like not bad. Okay, so we're entering this part of the song where it's just like everyone's taking their solos and it's very like a self-indulgent kind of solo section. But unlike a jam band, you can hear that the backing track is just as technical as the rest of the song, super packed with detail. Okay, I clipped that very ending, but that's what I kept. You can see it was a pretty interesting part, which I thought kind of broke up the solo a little bit. But the solos aren't over. Okay, and as soon as that stuff started, I clipped it, but I did extend because I liked the riff. So I extended, cropped the ending off, extended more. Then things just go off the rails with this keyboard solo, and I figure, I've been a keyboard player in a band before, and it's kind of a bummer. You're just standing back there, and why not? It's AI, I know, but why not give the keyboard player a chance to just shred for a bit? Because I don't know, all of this worked. Okay, so the next section. Look how many attempts it took, and all of these are just. Oh. I forgot about that little guy. Some choir comes in. Okay, okay. Yeah, so like a lot of them are pretty good, but like I just kept going. Like I don't want it to just work. I want it to be like so sweet, But as you can see, just so many options. Oh, it's grabbing stuff from the Pliny section there. So that's cool. Again, like thematics are always nice. Like regularity is nice. Parts coming back is nice when it happens. But we went with this one, so. Keyboard still just going wild. And we're at the 9-minute mark. And at this point in my creative process, I'm thinking to myself, like, I want this solo to end already. So like, let's get out of this solo. And, going to another guitar solo there, not exactly what I wanted. At least this kind of came organically out of what was before it. So we're still soloing. Yeah. And the solos can be a little exhausting, as cool as they are. So this one took me to another break, another like instrumental break. The whole thing's instrumental, but you know what I mean. This one got cool. I clipped out that ending. It brought in this reverse guitar to kind of lead into the next part. It was so cool. So I think on this next one, finally we get out of the solos, out of this little quiet break with these backwards guitar swells. Some really pretty harmonies in there. Okay, at this point, like getting this far into the song, it gets harder and harder to get a coherent extension. So this one, I guess I got lucky. There's only 4, but you're going to see that there's just more and more and more. Okay, and then we're getting there, and something happens next that was like so out of left field, but I just couldn't. I couldn't boot it. It was. I mean, come on, a Weather Channel breakdown? Who doesn't want a Weather Channel breakdown in their prog-metal masterpiece? So it's so jazzy all of a sudden, it's just the Weather Channel jazz. Like, wow, okay. All right, next. Oh, that's right. All of a sudden, it sounds like nice, smooth, beautiful indie prog, you know? Okay, and then we're going to come out of that with some guitar riffs on this extension, but really quick. If we look at this one. Yeah, you see? See how much suffering? So, like, let's look at the, coming out of that smooth indie prog section, what were our options? Kind of cool, keeps the vibe, but brings in a weird, like, creepy organ. All of a sudden it's like dirty, like blues rock, like 80s metal. What? That doesn't fit. Okay, not bad. Okay, and as you can see, I'm not gonna make you listen to all those, but the one we kept. And I like it because it sounds like something that might be towards the end of a song. It has that feeling like that we're like starting to wrap things up. Okay, and then going from there, here's the one we kept, but let's see how many options there were. Kind of a lot. I'm going to go with a few random and see what happened here. You know what happened here? That was interesting. A lot of these are like this. It's like another solo. And I'm trying to wrap the song up. It's not time to start soloing again. So that's why a lot of these were not good. But this one... It just continued the last riff really organically, nicely. And then from there, yeah, there are going to be a lot. And like I said, towards the end, this is when it got the hardest. You see I'm at 14 minutes here. UDIO only lets you go to 15. But if you are cropping as you're extending, and you have one end at 14:59, then you can go ahead and do another full 32 seconds from there. So I think technically the maximum you can get is 15:31 if you're using my method here. It's cool, but it's got too much like forward momentum to be the end of a song. So once again, soloing, it's not time for a solo. It's time to start wrapping the song up and have some kind of regularity and harmonically something that like suggests, you know, that we're ending. Kind of cool, but just didn't work well enough. We went with this one. Okay, definitely had like really consistent flow, forward motion. Let's see where it took us. That must have got clipped. And then in the next one, yeah. So finally they gave me a riff, and you know, I wanted like the distorted guitars to come back. And it's a good riff that can loop and repeat, and it works really well as an end of a song. You see, this one is at 14:56. So now we finally reached the end of the chain, and it took me this many to get my final 32 seconds. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and the 20th one, 20, was the one I kept. And it pretty much just keeps repeating the riff and then gives a nice little clean guitar-only ending. So, you know, for this being its own category, like how cool of a song can I make just by using UDIO generations and extending it and connecting them like this? Because obviously, if I were composing from scratch the way I have done my whole life, then I could just write the ending that I want and I won't have to go through this. All in all, this took me just over 10 hours to make this one 15-minute song, but the detail that's packed into it, to have done it from scratch, for real, would have taken me at least a year of working really hard every day. Because just how complicated it would be to play these riffs, but because of the work that goes into this kind of thing. So that's the ending I finally decided on. Got my ending, and look, it's 15:27. And yeah, fell in love with the song, and like I said, took clips that were cool but didn't work in the grand scheme of this particular song, and then was able to generate new songs off of those. And that'll be the subject of the next video, how I made a whole full-length album from this one tiny clip. All right, so that's how I did it. And as you can see, you can hear the whole album here on YouTube. Track 2 is the one we talked about in this video, Exovault Descent. You can see there's another epic length track to finish the album, and a 6-minute chonker and a single to start it off. And the whole thing has a flow and an album experience. I encourage you to listen to the whole thing if you like this style of music, if you've got the time. You can also listen to it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can stream music. Thanks so much for watching this video and sharing this journey with me. If you haven't yet, sub to the channel and like the video. All of that stuff helps me grow, and it's much appreciated. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.